I'm really excited today to share with you in this very short video some new innovations for unbiased, explainable, practical AI for human applications like human resources, patients, and customers. There are broadly two kinds of AI in the computer science literature. The first and traditional variety is just rule-based, where logic and science try and basically emulate the cognitive or physical tasks of a person. But rule-based tends to be pretty brittle and hard to debug, so it's pretty limited in its application. And for many years, people have been working on trying to emulate human cognition in software with something called neural nets. Well, a few years ago, when neural nets met modern computation and big data sets, it evolved into machine learning, deep learning types of approaches. And what's very exciting about these, things like Alexa, are that they can do tasks that the rules-based AI simply cannot. They do it very robustly. However, even though they're not brittle like rules-based AI may be, they tend to be extremely biased and we just don't really know why they really work. They're not explainable. When I started Leadering, I thought, well, maybe the solution to this is a combination between the two, a hybrid between the measurement science, Roche measurement, and the deep learning techniques so that we get measurement precision in the way that metrologists or measurement specialists would recommend, along with the robustness and the sophistication of the deep learning. And I found in my science that was really a match made in heaven. The first time I really showed this research was when I was presenting at a conference at University of California at Berkeley for psychometricians and metrologists. And I talked about calibrating charisma in leaders and coaching them with this sort of rules-based AI married to deep learning. Well, I was really excited last week to see that Dr. Chris Kennedy, who's a postdoc at Harvard Medical School, used an almost identical approach to the one we had taken. Now, in my case, I was looking at charisma. He used it to measure hate speech online, and he was able to outperform Google's own algorithms for this with this hybrid measurement and deep learning approach. So that's exciting in terms of precise engineering-worthy measurement that's unbiased, but what about the explainability? Well, I was really happy to see that Dr. Kennedy and his colleagues also referenced the seminal work of Mark Wilson. Mark was one of the leaders of the conference where I presented at UC Berkeley and authored an important book in 2004 called Constructing Measures. In it, he proposed a scientific way to make sure that instruments and algorithms like AI were explainable by making sure they're matched to what the science says they should be. Let me give you a concrete example. If we're writing a new assessment for charisma, how do leaders excite their people, we want to make sure that we author some questions or algorithms that look at that behavior that are very, very easy for people low. Things like talking about the importance of the team's work are pretty easy to do. It's slightly harder for the leader to show their emotions about how excited they might be about the future. And both of those tasks are a bit easier than telling a great story or electrifying the team with a very colorful vision of the sort that Martin Luther King Jr. did in the I Have a Dream speech. Similarly, his approach would say when we're engineering algorithms, rules-based or deep learning, to coach people around those behaviors, we want those to be similarly not too hard, not too easy, but in the leader's Goldilocks zone, just right. So, low leaders need to work on mentioning and underscoring the importance of the team's work before they worry about telling an exciting story to motivate them. So, this logic and science informing how to author the algorithms is a part of why this is so exciting, because that same approach is what my team's taken and Dr. Kennedy's team have taken. In our case, we combined both rules-based and machine learning-based approaches to measuring emotions in clients' journal entries when they're reflecting on how deliberate practice went when they're practicing artificially intelligent coaching. We can measure their emotional intensity as well as their positive emotions versus their negative on each specific journal entry or over time, which helps the coach, the human coach, see the client and their progress when they're not together, and intervene if appropriate. This kind of hybrid, rules-based and deep learning approach, I think, is really exciting. I'm thrilled to see our colleagues at Harvard using the same sort of approach fruitfully, better than the classics, which makes me especially optimistic about the future of AI augmenting human relationships at work. I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll see you in the next one.